It is that time of year yet again where college football season is right around the corner. And in today's video, I want to share with you guys my college football playoff predictions. In the video, I will be breaking down my bracket and telling you why I picked certain teams to make it and why I did not pick certain teams to make the college football playoff. And as always, put your comments down below as what I got right and what I got wrong. All that and more coming up next. Alright, so starting out here, I wanted to talk about the 5v12 matchup here. At the number 5 seed, I have Ohio State making it there with a record of 11-1. If you haven't already, go ahead and check out my Ohio State season preview. I have season previews for many of these teams coming up here, and I will link that down below. And then Tulane coming out of the G5, I just wanted to acknowledge really that there is a world apart from Boise State out here, and Tulane got, I think, the best quarterback in the G5 in Jake Retzloff, and I think that they have a fantastic roster built around him, and I think that they will just run through the Sun Belt, and I think that they'll have enough wins that the committee really can't ignore them. Plus, if they can get a win versus either Duke or Ole Miss, I think that they will be in a prime position to make this college football playoff. So I have them here at the number 12 spot in basically over Boise State. It's really a two-man race here to win the G5 spot, that being Tulane and Boise State. Let's now talk about the 7v10 seeded matchup. At number 7 seed, I have Oregon, and at number 10 seed, I have Miami. With Oregon, I originally had them going 9-7 when I put out my season prediction for Oregon. I've since really reverted back to about 10 wins for Oregon, and I think that they'll be really confident here. I do not like the loss of Evan Stewart and Trey McNutt, but I do think that Oregon is way too talented to lose more than 3 games, so I could see them coming in as a 9-3 team, but I do think that this team will go 10-2 when it's all said and done. Same thing with Miami at the number 10 seed. You'll see what I have at the 11 seed in the next segment here, but I do think that Miami deserves this number 10 spot, and they are not the conference champion. The conference champion, spoiler alert, you'll see later on in the video, but I do think that Miami will go 10-2, 11-1. I do think that they shock everyone and open up with a win against Notre Dame, and I've predicted that. And I will stand by that, and hopefully Notre Dame proves me wrong. But in any case, I do think that Miami will get that big opening win and then kind of coast to double-digit wins and make the college football playoff for the first time ever. Next, let's talk about my 6th and 11th seeded ranked teams here squaring off. That would be Georgia and Kansas State, respectively. Georgia, you are not going to be able to keep them down. I think that they slide in right here at the 6, maybe even the 5. I think that was kind of a coin flip for me between Ohio State and Georgia. But Georgia, I have them going to the SEC championship game and losing to the eventual winner you will see here in a couple of minutes. But I think Georgia, they're going to be the same Georgia as they've always been. Gunnar Stockton, I'm not sold on him, which is why I don't have them winning the SEC. But they did get some much needed receiver help, and their defensive line should be very good yet again. And Kansas State out of the Big 12, they're my Big 12 championship pick. I really went back and forth between them and Arizona State. Arizona State really is one of those couple teams on the outside looking in. I think that they, in my estimation, are in that 13-15 range in this scenario. But Kansas State, I have them winning because they have the best quarterback by far in the Big 12, that being Avery Johnson. I like Dylan Edwards out of the backfield a lot, and I think that this defense is really good. And I think that Chris Kleinman is one of the best head coaches out there as well. All right, let's talk about the final matchup on campus. I have Indiana and Ole Miss. This may be surprising to a lot of people here. I have Indiana as the 9 and Ole Miss Indiana as the 8 and Ole Miss as the 9. But for Indiana, I've been a known believer, and I've spoke about it openly on this channel before, that I am a big believer in Indiana. I'm a huge believer in Coach Signetti, and I think that this team is better than last season as a roster standpoint. They brought back a ton on the defensive side of the ball in another year of progression and growth, and I think that will be one of the best defenses in the country yet again. I think that they upgraded at the quarterback position, bringing in Fernando Mendoza. I think that he provides a element to his game that Curtis Rourke did not. And I think that this wide receiver core is really good as well, plus one of the best coaching staffs in the country, in my opinion, as well. So I think that they will reach double-digit wins yet again and make the playoffs. Then we have Ole Miss here. Ole Miss, I've been very high on Ole Miss pretty much all off season. A lot of people aren't as high on them. I really do like the potential of Austin Simmons and what he brings to the table. I think that he adds another dimension to Ole Miss's game that I think Jackson Dart maybe touched on, but did not really fully embrace. So I really do think that Austin Simmons is going to be that guy for Ole Miss down in Oxford. I also really do like the wide receiver room. I'm very high on them, and I'm really high on the defensive front seven. I really like their defensive line, and especially their linebackers. Sertain Perkins is one of the best, if not the best, linebacker in the country. Their secondary is going to need some work, but that can totally be fixed. They have a ton of talent there as well. Now you guys see everything here. The whole bracket is now up. I have Clemson at the 1 seed, Penn State at the 2, Texas at the 3, and Notre Dame at the 4. We'll start off with number 1, Clemson. I think they will be the number 1 seed because I think that they will beat LSU in week 1, and I think that will set the precedent for the rest of the season. I think that they go undefeated up to the South Carolina game. I think that they'll end up losing that game versus South Carolina, but I think they'll come back and beat whoever in which would be Miami in the ACC championship game, landing them the number 1 spot. Then we have Penn State. I think that they will win the Big Ten, in my opinion. The amount of talent that they bring back is uncanny in its relationship to 2024 Ohio State. Penn State spent all its money bringing guys back. That's exactly what Ohio State did. And I think that Penn State brought back even more talented guys than Ohio State did. Penn State's offensive line, one of the best out there. Running back room, best in the country. Quarterback, top 2 in my opinion, right there with Cade Klubnik. And you don't need to get me started on the defense. Those linebackers are ruthless, and that defensive line, maybe one of the best in the country. At number 3, Texas. I think that they finally get the monkey off their back, beat Georgia in the SEC championship game after losing to them in the regular season. As far as the roster goes, look, they have one of, if not the most talented team in the country. Obviously, you have Arch Manning, one of the most talented quarterbacks to ever come out of the high school ranks, and he has been sitting for 2 years, so he is ready to go. They have one of the best running back rooms in the country. They have a top 5 wide receiver room in the country. Their offensive line is a little iffy, but I think it's way too talented to not be very good. And defensively, they have a star at every single position on the field. I very much trust Texas to be at that number 3 spot. Then Notre Dame coming in at 4. I'm a big believer in CJ Carr. A lot of people don't know who he is or whatever. He's got a cannon of an arm. That's what you want to know. And he's a guy who's going to stay in the pocket and fire it to his wide receivers. Speaking of which, Notre Dame has a very criminally underrated wide receiver room full of really good players and really good transfers as well. Defensively, one of the best in the country. Really big believer in Marcus Freeman. And you look at their schedule, if they get past the first 3 weeks of the season unscathed, yet I do think that they're going to lose to Miami. I did say that earlier in the video. I do think that Notre Dame's going to go 11-1 because the rest of their schedule, it's pretty tough. They play Texas A&M, they play USC, but they don't play any world beaters in my opinion, and I think that they will slaughter all of the competition. So there you guys have it. This is my bracket. I'm not a huge believer in predicting who's going to win these games as far out as we are. I'm going to be honest. I'm really not a huge believer in it. I don't like to see the cover 3 guys go and predict the whole thing. I'm just not a huge fan of that because every situation changes astronomically throughout the year. But if I'm going to lay down just a quick little thing for you guys, I think Ohio State would beat Tulane. Miami, I think, would upset Oregon if, again, things will be astronomically different by the end of the season, but I do think at this point Miami would beat Oregon. Kansas State would not win versus Georgia. Reverse psychology there on you guys. I think Georgia would beat Kansas State, and I think that Indiana would beat Ole Miss. You go through reseeding, Miami would play Clemson. I think that would be a rematch there, and Clemson would beat Miami again. Ohio State versus Notre Dame, where have we seen that before? I think Ohio State goes and beats Notre Dame, which would mean a Clemson Ohio State finish up there in that top bracket. And then I do think that Texas would beat Georgia again. And I think that Penn State would beat Indiana. Penn State beats Georgia to make it to the national title game. And then, in my opinion, you have Clemson winning, going to the national title game. It would be a Clemson Penn State national title game. And I think that Clemson would come out on top. So there is my kind of rapid fire way of going through it, although I don't believe in it, like I said. But anyway, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for clicking on. Again, small channel that I'm running here, trying to build it up to be a great college football community. We already have a strong base of great college football fans, and I want you to be part of that. So click the subscribe button for me, please, and thank you. Also, don't forget to comment what I got right and what I got wrong, because invariably I did get stuff right and wrong to your perspective. So let me hear down in the comments below. Also, like the video, and with that, I'm out of here.